रामानुजदयापात्रं ज्ञानवैराग्यभूषणं श्रीमद्वेङ्कटनाथार्यं वन्दे वेदान्तदेशिकं लक्ष्मीनाथसमारम्भां नाथयामुनमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्परां यो नित्यमच्युतपदाम्बुजयुग्मरुक्मव्यामोहतस्तदितराणि तृणाय मेने अस्मद्गुरोर्भगवतोऽस्य दयैकसिन्धोः रामानुजस्य चरणौ शरणं प्रपद्ये। माता पिता युवतयस्तनया विभूतिः सर्वं यदेव नियमेन मदन्वयानाम् आद्यस्य नः कुलपतेर्वकुलाभिरामं श्रीमत्तदङ्घ्रियुगलं प्रणमामि मूर्ध्ना। भूतं सरश्च महदाह्वयभट्टनाथ श्रीभक्तिसार कुलशेखर योगिवाहान् भक्ताङ्घ्रिरेणु परकाल यतीन्द्रमिश्रान् श्रीमत्पराङ्कुशमुनिं प्रणतोऽस्मि नित्यम्। कूजन्तं राम रामेति मधुरं मधुराक्षरम् आरुह्य कविता शाखां वन्दे वाल्मीकिकोकिलं। वाल्मीकिर्मुनिसिंहस्य कवितावनचारिणः शृण्वन् रामकथानादं मुनयादि परां गतिं वेदवेद्ये परे पुंसि जानते दशरथात्मजे वेदः प्राचेतसादासीत् साक्षात् रामायणात्मना अंजनानन्दनं वीरं जानकी शोकनाशनं कपीशम् अक्षहन्तारं वन्दे लङ्काभयङ्करं। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। व्यासं वसिष्ठनप्तारं शक्तेः पौत्रम् अकल्मषं पराशरात्मजं वन्दे शुकतातं तपोनिधिं। व्यासाय विष्णुरूपाय व्यासरूपाय विष्णवे नमो वै ब्रह्मनिधये वासिष्ठाय नमो नमः। निगमकल्पतरोः गलितं फलं शुकमुखादमृतद्रवसंयुतं पिबत भागवत रसमालयं मुहुरहो रसिकाः भुवि भावुकाः। Namaskar to all the Astikas, the Bhagavatottamas who have gathered in this beautiful city of Perth. I am at the outset indebted, in fact humbled with the love and the hospitality that I have received in Perth. This is my 20th lecture, 20th continuous lecture. 2 days at Wellington, 2 days in Auckland, 7 days in Melbourne, 2 days in Brisbane, 2 days in Sydney, 2 days in Canberra, 2 days in Adelaide, and today I am here, and tomorrow will be my concluding lecture for this entire Australia, New Zealand tour. I do understand that it is a weekday that I am performing, not a weekend. But your presence on a weekday has made me feel that week has turned strong. So, very thankful to each of you. The topic chosen for today is about Itihasas and the Puranas, the connectivity that they enjoy between them, amongst them, and the coherence with which they are presented, and ultimately what geography does it talk about. The topic seems a bit cryptic. The topic does need some amount of scholastic indulgence. Well, the topic tomorrow is quite straightforward. It talks about Sharanagati, Nyasa Vidya, Prapatti as an upaya, as expounded in the Itihasa Sreshtham called as Srimad Ramayanam. The topic, both for today and tomorrow, and the medium with which I have to convey to the audience is in English, Indian accent English. So, if at all some of your friends are a bit skeptical as to whether this accent of English is comprehensible or not, in a way, Australia and India have an association with the British. So we do enjoy the same English, just that the accents vary today. So please do tell them that he's after all not that bad. So that's spoken. In Sanatana Dharma or Hinduism, because both are very much the same. They are paryayavachaka shabdam, synonymous, Sanatana Dharma, the way our ancestors have called this civilization, this religion to be. And today we call it by a different name, a newer name, the Hinduism. So Sanatana Dharma and Hinduism are one and the same. Please feel free to send a copy of this to the Tamil Nadu government. So, both are one and the same. That said, Dayananda Saraswati, Pujya Shri Dayananda Saraswati was asked by a journalist, can you say a few things about Hinduism? Dayananda Saraswati answered that to a devout Christian, the Holy Bible is his or her holy book. To a devout Muslim, the Quran is. For a devout Sikh, it is Guru Granth Sahib. So to a Christian, a Muslim and a Sikh, it is one book each. The Bible, the Quran and the Guru Granth Sahib. Immediately the journalist asked, what if I would turn the tables around and ask the Hindu, what is your holy book? Dayananda Saraswati said, he will answer, welcome to my library. So in our library, we have the 4 Vedas, the 6 Vedangas, the 2 Itihasas, the 18 Puranas, the Nyaya Shastram, Mimamsa Shastram, Artha Shastram, Gandharva Vedam, Dhanur Vidya. And after having expounded on all of this, you are deemed as a beginner. So we have a plethora of scriptures that we need to study. When we have too many books around us, there will be a pertinent question, is there coherence between the books? Is there a connection between the books? All these are questions that we need to understand. Let me take up a few instances. For example, as we know, Ramayana was composed and compiled by a Maharishi called as Valmiki. Valmikata Shravanato Vasudhatmanaste Jato Babhuva Samunihi Kavisarva Bhaumaha. It is said that he was performing tapasya, austerities, with such intensity that for a moment the Jivarasis around him, especially the termites, thought that he was a piece of wood or stone. So they constructed a termite hill over him. And when it started raining is when the anthill broke and he emerged from it with such radiance. So this person who performed austerities within the Valmikam, because in Sanskrita the anthill is called Valmikam. Since he arose from the Valmikam, he is called Valmiki. Valmikata Shravanato Vasudhatmanaste Jato Babhuva Samunihi Kavisarva Bhaumaha. So Valmiki was the one who lived as a contemporary during the times of Rama. Now we may ask, did Rama end up meeting Valmiki? Yes. In Aranyakandam, when Rama, Lakshmana and Sita were walking into the forests of Dandaka, there is a clear mention where Sita, Rama and Lakshmana entered the ashram, the hermitage of Valmiki. So Valmiki was very integral to the Ramayana. He was very much witness to the incidents of the Ramayana, which he compiled later. This is found in the Ramayana itself. So Valmiki recorded the incidents as is. When you give a direct report as is, that work is called Itihasa. Itihasa. As it happened, it was reported. So that is why Valmiki did not make any amends, delete button, backspace. Nothing of this was used. That is why people ask, why did Rama do Agni Pariksha to Sita? Why was the pregnant Sita banished into the forest while she was in her first trimester? Is this right for Rama to do? We have a rigmarole of questions to ask. We have a rigmarole of questions to ask. But remember, if Valmiki had thought these are pinching questions, he could have easily deleted those portions. Control X and then join those portions. He would have made it as non-controversial as possible, so that people don't have any questions to ask. But he didn't. He wanted to be an honest journalist. We may now think it's an oxymoron to have honesty and journalism in one line. But it was in those days where you had people who were very honest and who reported things as is. They were not concerned about what people would form as opinions about their work. Valmiki was extremely honest. So Itihasa means as it happened. So Valmiki, who compiled and composed Ramayana as it happened, gave us Ramayana. Second is another work written during the times of Krishna, compiled and composed by another person who was born on an island in the fresh waters of Yamuna river. An island is called Dvipam. Since he was born on a Dvipa, he was called Dvaipayana. Don't we use words? For example, if somebody is born in the island of Andaman and Nicobar, we say he is an islander. He was born in an island. Islander in Sanskrit means Dvaipayana. How was his complexion? He was dark. So he was called Krishna Dvaipayana. What other Herculean task did he take upon himself later in his life? He took up this task of bucketing the Vedic mantras. In Six Sigma we call it bucketing. We put them into the respective buckets. Those mantras which were prose in nature, Gadya in nature, he bucketed into a Veda called Yajurvedam. Those mantras which were easy to be pronounced and recited, poetic in nature, he called it Rigvedam. Those portions of Rigvedam which were capable to be rendered through music became Samavedam. So he bucketed them. This process of bucketing is called Vyasam. Since he did this for the Vedic mantras, Krishna Dvaipayana was called by the name Veda Vyasa. So rising from Valmikam, he became Valmiki. Valmiki gave us the incidents of Rama, so that work is called Ramayana. Ramayana is a direct report as it happened, so it is an Itihasa. Come to the times of Krishna, Krishna Dvaipayana called Veda Vyasa compiled the incidents of those times. He mainly recorded the incidents that happened between the sons of Pandu and the sons of Dhritarashtra, Pandavas and Dhartarashtras. Remember this. When we say Pandavas, the other name that comes to us is Kauravas. Technically, even Pandavas were Kauravas, because Kauravas means those who come in the lineage of Kuru. Both Pandavas and the sons of Dhritarashtra were in the lineage of Kuru, so they were both Kauravas. So if you call Pandavas by the name of their father Pandu, thereby Pandavas, the sons of Dhritarashtra are Dhartarashtras. So the incidents that happened between them, followed by the war, was compiled by Veda Vyasa. So Mahabharatam is also an Itihasa. So if you follow the sequence, we can get into the narration, because the foundation is very strong. Should be ideally very strong to get into a lecture. So Ramayana and Mahabharata, both Srimad Ramayana and Sri Mahabharatam, are direct reports by Valmiki and Veda Vyasa, basically talking about Ramavataram and Krishnavataram, written during two different periods of time. In our Purana landscape, we call it as Treta Yugam and Dwapara Yugam, two different yugas. But going by the historical accounts given by some of the recent historians and researchers, Ramayana is said to have occurred around 5114 BCE. Mahabharata is said to have occurred around 3102 BCE. Now we are in 2024 AD or CE. So between us and Mahabharata there is a gap of roughly 5000 years. That is why in all the almanacs, the Panchangam, they will say Kali Yuga year 5000 and so. So our difference between Mahabharata year and now is 5000. Difference between Ramayana and us is 7000. Difference between Ramayana and Mahabharata as per the historians is 2000 years. So the compilation of Ramayana around 5000 BCE and the compilation of Mahabharata around the 3000 BCE has a difference of 2000 years. So the topic is, are these two itihasas connected? Are these two itihasas cohesive? Are these two itihasas consistent? Are these two itihasas speaking about the same geographies in and around them? So that is the topic, for which I am going to narrate one important incident from Mahabharata. So I have told you those dates, I have told you the composers, I have told you the people who have compiled, I have given you the traditional timeline, I have given you the modern timeline. I am sure you are all ekasanta grahi. If you listen to anything once, you will remember. You don't need to make note of it in a book or a pen. You will grasp like a blotting paper. So when I ask questions later also, it will be easy for you to answer. So, now, in Sri Mahabharatam, we don't have too many verses, just 1,25,000 verses. 1,25,000 verses. Bucketed into 18 chapters called Ashtadasha Parva. Adi Parva, Sabha Parva, Vana Parva, Virata Parva, Udyoga Parva, Bhishma Parva, Drona Parva, Karna Parva, Shalya Parva. We have a list of Parvas. 1,25,000 verses. Now we may ask, how big is it? To give you a comparison, it is 2.5 times the size of Iliad and Odyssey put together. It is 5.5 times the size of Paradise Lost and Paradise Gained put together. And where was it compiled? Till about 40 years. I am talking about 1990. Till about 1990, we had one Sri Vaishnava, a great Mahavidwan in Kanchipuram in the southern state of Tamil Nadu, who had memorized the 1,25,000 verses. He didn't need a book. 1,25,000 verses were memorized. Now we will have a very realistic question. Sir, is it needed to memorize? Today we have AI. We are living in the world of gadgets. Why should we memorize? Till about 20 years, trust me, from my personal experience I can tell you, I knew 2,400 phone numbers by heart. Phone numbers of my friends and relatives, 100 of them I knew them. My grandmother would ask, tell me that number, I will tell. Today, I don't even know what my number is. Forget about others. So if someone asks what is your password, we have 21 passwords for which we will save that in a password manager. And some Brihaspati will hack that. That is also gone. So you don't have to remember. Now if you ask, do you recite Vishnu Sahasranama? Yes. Where is it? Inside the phone. Who will go to Moksham? Phone. We will not go to Moksham. See, Shastram says, the one that is endowed with knowledge will go for moksha. Jnana mokshaha. Through jnanam you will get moksha. Now who has got that jnanam? Phone has got that jnanam. So one day you will see its atma, whether it is SIM card or whatever. Avavahat chodalye yarana yarana yadatte avavatta vedavatta guru shadavo van. It will go for moksha. Vaikunthaloka manimantava margadai. So these so-called intellectual questions, what is the use of memorizing, doesn't hold water in Sanatana Dharma, because the civilization itself is a product of listening and remembering. Shruti and Smriti. It is only in the later ages and stages that we started inscribing and putting those verses in the form of manuscripts. Earlier it was all here. We laid stress on listening, which you are all doing, and remembering, which you all should do. Both things. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnoho Smaranam, Padasevanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Sakhyam, Atmanivedanam, Iti Pumsarpita Vishnor, Bhaktische, Navalakshana, says the great devotee Prahlada to his father, the tyrant king Hiranyakashipu, in the 7th canto, Saptamaskandam of Srimad Bhagavatam. So we need to understand Mahabharatam, which has 1,25,000 verses. In the Mahabharatam, the first chapter or the first parva is called Adi Parva. In the Adi Parva, Vyasacharya makes it a point to give a delineation. He elucidates on an Upakhyanam. It is called Vainateyo Upakhyanam, Vinata. Vinata was the wife of Kashyapa Prajapati. There was a rishi in and around the Himalayan region, the upper parts of Himalayan region. He was very good at seeing, which we are all, but he was also additionally good at foreseeing. He could predict what will happen in the future, like how we know of Nostradamus and other people who gave us prophecies. He was very good at predicting, Dirghadarshi. He could tell what will happen in the future. So he was just not adept in seeing, but also foreseeing. So seeing or foreseeing requires vision. To see, the verb in Sanskritam is pashya. Pashya in Sanskritam means to see. Pashyami, I see. Pashyasi, you see. Pashyati, he sees or she sees. So pashya, to see, is the verb, root word. Since he was adept in seeing and foreseeing, he was thereby called Pashyaka. But Aruna Prashnam in the Vedam says you have to reverse it. Pashyaka, Kashyapo Bhavati. If you reverse Pashyaka, you get Kashyapa. So he was hence called Kashyapa, and the region where he lived or thrived was called Kashyapa Vihara, shortened as Kashmira. Today we call it Kashmir. Since he was the fulcrum of knowledge, Saraswati Devi established the largest library there in Kashyapa Vihara. As late as 250 years, a great composer called Muthuswami Dikshitar, who lived in the southern part of India, says that I have visited Kashmir and the library of Saraswati. Sharad Jyotsna Shuddha Shashivarana Kashmira Nagara Vihara Para Sharada Parankushadhara Varada Bhaya Pasha Pustaka Kara Surachita Padambuja Shobhana Shveta Pankajasana Surasana Murari Guru Ranjani Murari Snushani Ranjani Kalavati Kamalasana Yuvati Kalyanam Kalayatu Saraswati. He writes that I have visited the library of Sharada in Kashyapa Vihara. That is why most of our rituals, the priest Purohita will say, when you are submitting apple, Kashmira Phalam Nivedayami, it doesn't have a name of its own. It is called the fruit of Kashmir. Kashmira Phalam Nivedayami, I thereby submit apple. If I go to California, I will be given an award to say this. I am giving apple. So, in the Mahabharata, we have Kashyapa Prajapati who had a wife. He had many wives. He was polygamous. Now they will ask one question. Why did he marry so many? I don't have an answer. He didn't seek my opinion. He has married. This is what Mahabharatam states. Listen, let's not form opinions. He didn't consult with us. So he had many wives. One wife was called Kadru, the other wife was called Vinata. Vinata, she nurtured birds as her pets. Vinata had an earlier bird whom she treated like her son, who was born handicapped, specially able, and he had red tinge over him. Redness in Sanskrit is Aruna. So he was called Aruna, and he is said to have become the charioteer to the rays of Surya Bhagavan. That is why when the sun rises, even before you see the hue of the yellow and the orange enveloping your sky, you see the red tinge. It is called Arunodayam. After Arunodayam comes Suryodayam. We of course have this Vibgyor spectrum, and then we call it infrared and ultraviolet. So next to Aruna the bird came another bird. This bird broke open from the egg and it started looking left, right, and it extended its wings with such vigor and prowess. Right from his birth, he proved how great a bird he was. And as he started growing, he showed the world that he could carry heavy objects. In Sanskritam, the word for heavy is Guru. Guru Shabdam iti bahutva vachakaha, very heavy. There are two meanings for the word Guru. Gu swa andhakaraha rukta nirodhakaha. The letter Gu means inner darkness, when we are absolutely clueless about what path to take. That is Gu. Ru means to annihilate, remove that darkness. Guru means the one who removes the inner darkness. Ajnana timirandhasya jnananjana shalakaya chakshurum niritam yena tasmai shri gurave namaha. So Guru means literally the preceptor, the guide who tries to guide us on the right path. This is one meaning. Second, Guru means heavy, that which is very strong or very heavy. That is why amongst the planets we call Brihaspati as Guru, because as such in the planets, Brihaspati, Guru, Jupiter is the biggest planet. So he is called Guru. So if a person is very adept in literature, he will say, my Guru is Guru, which means my Guru is heavy. So that is the way he will react to. Now, this bird could carry heavy objects in his claws. If you have noticed on YouTube, YouTube is like now Kali Yuga Acharya. You type anything, you will get. How to make Mysore Pak, you will get. If you make that Mysore Pak, you can get moksha. Both. So, you type in Google, eagles carrying heavy objects. Eagles can carry 10 times their weight. They can carry even huge animals like, big antelopes. So we cannot make a comparison between their size and what they carry. Since the second child, the second bird who was nurtured as a very son, as a very son of Vedanta, this bird could carry heavy objects. Since Guru objects could be carried, he had to be called Guruda. But in Sanskritam you have to reverse. So he was called Garuda. Vedanta Desika gives you a highlight of how Garuda would fly. Garuda makhila veda nida virudam dvishat pida rotkantita kunta vaikunta piti kritaskanda mide Swanida gatif prita rudra sukitistana bhoga gadhopa gudhas puratkantaka vrata veda vyatha vepamana Vijihvadi pakalpa vishparya manas thata vatikaratta rochis chataraji nirajitam kanti kalloli nirajitam Jaya Garuda Suparna Darvi Karahara Deva Vipahara Hari Divaukaspati Kshipta Damboli Dhara Kinakalpa Kalpanta Vatula Kalpodayanalpa Viradi Nodya Chamatkara Daityari Daitya Dvajaroha Nirdhari Totkarsha Sankarshanatma Garutman Marutpanchaka Visha Satya Vimurte Nakaschit Samaste Namaste Punaste Namaha Nama Idamajahat Saparyaya Paryaya Niryata Paksha Nilaspala Nodvela Patoti Vichi Chapeta Hatada Dhapatala Bhankara Sankruddha Nagendra Pida Srinibhava Bhasvan Nakashrena Chanda Tundaya Nritya Bhujanga Dhruve Vajrine Damshtraya Tubhyam Adhyatma Vidya Videya Videya Bhavadasya Mapadayeta Adayeta Shami Manudamugata Pakshi Vatras Purattara Kastava Kaschitra Bhamu Priya Shekharastrayatam Nastri Varga Pavarga Prasudit Paravyoma Valadveshi Darpa Jwaladvala Kilya Pratijnavatirnastiram Tattva Buddhim Param Bhakti Denu Jaganmula Kande Mukunde Mahananda Dogri Mahina Antaka. So this is called Garuda Dandakam. In Sanskritam there are various prosody. You've got different meters with which you can write. One of the meters is called Dandakam. Kalidasa gave a word called Shyamala Dandakam. So Vedanta Desika gave a word called Garuda Dandakam. So Garuda, that valorous bird son of Vinata, could fly. Now, on the other hand, Vinata was made a slave. She was enslaved by her very own sister, who was also her co-wife, called as Kadru. I generally tell this as a disclaimer to all my audience wherever I go. There is a world of difference between listening to a lecture in Sanatana Dharma and listening to a music concert. In a musical concert, you can afford to go look left, look right, just go on that, because in Shastriya Sangeetam we keep repeating the lines. Vasudevayani Vedalinali Dovari Punikanare Shri Vasudevayani Vedalinali Dovari Punikanare Shri Vasudevayani Vedalinali. 10 times you have to sing the same line. So between the 4th time and the 8th time, if you have to answer a WhatsApp message, it is okay. By the time you come back, you will be in the same line 10th time. Whereas in a lecture, it is not so. If we keep repeating, people will think he has no content. So only if you are vigilant, you can follow the lecture. So Kadru was the co-wife, and Kadru had enslaved Vinata. So Vinata had to execute all the household activities. Vinata got very tired. She had anemia. She became very weak. Thereby, Kadru said, just not you, Vinata, even your sons have to be my slaves. Then Garuda went and asked his mother, Mother, what should I do to get rid of this slavery? Vinata said, I don't have any solution. You go ask Kadru for it. So he went and asked his stepmother Kadru Mata, how do we, that is me and my mother, get rid of this bond of slavery? That very instant, she said, go bring the Amrita Patram from the land of Indra. It is called Amaravati. In our country, our Naidu is constructed on Amaravati. There is another Amaravati. So you go bring that Amrita Kalasham from there. So Garuda said, fine, deal done. Now he goes and asks his mother, my dear mother, I am planning to start on an operation called Operation Amrita. I have to go get that Amritam. Please bless me. Because Shastram says, Matrudevo Bhava, Mata Putrasya Bhuyansi Karmanyavara Bhati. There is a Shastra Vakya. More than the father. When the mother blesses, it has 100 times more value and power it sees. In Tamil Nadu also, we used to trust in Amma. So mother's vakyam is so important, and so is the command. See, the father asks, have you done your homework? The child is not bound to answer, as per Shastra. Whereas the mother asks, the child has to answer. Mata putrasya bhuyamsi. Mother is 100 times more important. I hope mothers are making note of it. At least write this point down. So he went and sought the blessings of his mother. Who was Garuda's mother? Vinata. Very good. You're all alert. No. So Vinata had to bless her son. What did she bless? Mahabharatam says. She says, my dear son Garuda, I hereby bless you that the Dikpalakas should protect your body. Pakshaute marutah patu chandrasuryau cha prishthatah shirascha patu vanhiste. Pakshaute marutah patu, both your sides have to be protected by maruts. Chandrasuryau cha prishthatah, let Chandra and Surya, the radiant sun and the nectarine rays giving moon, protect your anterior part. Shirascha patu vanhiste, let fire, the blazing Agni Devata, protect your head. So she was trying to give him a armor. It is called kavacham in Sanskritam. So she was telling, let nature with all its positive forces protect your body. Aham chate sada putra shanti swasti parayana ihasina bhavishyami swastikare rata sada. So she said, let all these devatas protect you. Garuda said, thank you, and he went to his father Kashyapa Prajapati. He told, my dear father, I am extremely hungry. What should I have? See, the Garuda's Samridhi inside a Vishnu temple, he will have only curd rice. Temple Garuda will have curd rice, puliyodare, and all of it. Real Garuda will eat snakes. We should not get confused. Real Garuda, Vibhavavataram Garuda will eat what is that black mamba. Tamil Tesharava Garuda. Kannada Matadaru, Telugu, Malayalam, Marathi, Hindi, Gujarati. Please don't mistake me. Other languages, there are astikas from other languages. Tell me, I'll be happy to know. Malayalam, Punjabi, Tulu, Gujarati. Modi and Kudika. அப்புறம் இப்போ அடுத்தது மெட்ராஸ் தமிழ் அப்படி போக மாட்டேன், ஏதோ மொத்தமா தமிழ் ஏதோ ஸோ பெங்காலி, ஒடியா, அதான் அதான் ஒடியா யாராவது இருக்காங்க? யாரும் சும்மா ஏதாவது. Okay, fine. No, we have so many Bharatiya languages. See, we are all very pluralistic by nature and every language is beautiful. Trust me. I am telling this frankly. When I sing the abhangs of Nyandev and Tukaram, you get lost in it. Your mind goes to Pandharpur. Rupa pahata losani sukh jalevo sajani toha vithala barva toha madhava barva toha vithala barva toha madhava barva. Your mind goes to the banks of Chandrabhaga in Pandharpur. Nanu brova mani chepu nari shiromani janaku niku tura janani janakamma. Nanu brova mani. You go to the beautiful waters of Godavari and Bhadrachalam. How beautiful Telugu is. See, Telugu is such a beautiful language. Telugu bhashalo Telugu teta ani cheptaru kada. Teta ante madhuryamaina oka bhasha. Most of the compositions in the Carnatic music fraternities in Telugu, and most of the musicians are Tamil. So Telugu is such a beautiful language. When I sing the Devarnamas of Purandaradasa, my mind smells only the Sampige and the Margosa flowers of Malleshwaram. Halavu kaladi minna hambalu genade olidu palisabeku varija na bhadayamado ranga dayamado Ninadasana. Why are you singing specifically about Ranga? Because he is a treasurer. Oh, so such a beautiful language. When I sing Malayalam, I cannot not go to the Garbhagriham of Krishna. Namam jabichu namaskariക്കുമ്പോൾ ഹരിതരു നിൽക്കുന്നതായും തോന്നും ഉന്നിക്കാതോത്തു നിൽക്കുന്നതായും തോന്നും തൊഴുതു മടങ്ങുമ്പോൾ ഇനി എന്നോ വരുമെന്നോ കേൾക്കുന്നതായും തോന്നും. The Garbhagriham of Guruvayur is so inviting. Arivellu nandavaramalander mamalare manamuhanda narumaname manamalaindu magarandam thanai naadi varum pannuganda karuvandenum tinguழலே குழலிசே அரவேரி நடமாடு அரசே என்னுயிரே உன் புகழ் எத்தனை கேட்டாலும் போதும் என்பதே இல்லை என்னப்படி ஆச்சே இன்னிசையுடன் குழலூதி கோபியருடூரவாடும் தன்னிகரில்லாத ராஜ கோபால சுவாமி. Look at the Tamil. அறிவெனு நந்தவன மலர்ந்த மாமலரே மணமுகந்த நறுமணமே மனமலைந்து நகரந்தம் தன்னை நாடி வரும் பண்புகந்த கருவண்டெனும் தீங்குழலே குழலிசையே அறவேறி நடமாடும் அரசே என்னுயிரே. You will never understand the beauty of Tamil unless and until you protest in the name of protecting Tamil for 200 rupees. Tamil, Kolambu, நாக்கு பிடிச்சு தேக்கணும். கேட்டுக்கொள்ளுங்கள், சொல்லுங்கள், ல வித்தியாசம் தெரியல, அந்த தமிழை தாக்கட்டும், தூக்கல தூக்கணும். Such a classical language Tamil is. Such an old language. We have recorded history of the Sangam era. What a language when most nations were not born. We had a convention and a conclave happening in Madurai about what grammatical patterns we should be using. How advanced the linguistic system was is evident from the inscriptions. So every language is beautiful. Now, Vinata, she blessed her son with the 2 verses. You remember? 7.5 minutes back I told you that. Aham tache sada putra swastikare rata sada. May you be protected, my son. Wherever you go, you should be protected, she said. Then he goes to his father and says, I am incessantly hungry. Then the father said, see, it's very tough for me to find snakes for you. It is better you consume something very sumptuous. For that you need to go to an island where you can find a tortoise and an elephant. Elephants are generally huge, be it Asiatic or African in origin. But there was an island, there is still an island called the Flores Island, found in the archipelago nation of Indonesia, where we have fossils of dwarfed elephants. They were very short elephants. So he said you can go there for the tortoises as well. So he took a soldier flying there. He caught the elephant in one claw, the tortoise in the other, and flew back. As he wanted to come to Bharatadesham on the transit in an island, he halted by the branch of a banyan tree. As he held the elephant and the tortoise in his claws and sat on the banyan tree, unable to take the incessant weight of Garuda along with what he carried, the branch began to detach itself from the tree. It started breaking. That time Garuda with his sharp eyes noticed dwarfic sages, rishis, small, very short dwarf rishis in the upside down position doing tapas on the branch. They were called Valakilyas. Today we know them by different names, Lilliputians, Hobbit, and so on. And we have fossils of such short people. Generally in the biology system, we call it the pituitary gland that is responsible for the growth of a person. When it's stagnated or malfunctions, you have a disorder called dwarfism. So there were short people doing the asana upside down. That is why in Yogasana you will have a posture called Valakilyasana, which means upside down you have to do. So he found many of them hanging upside down from the branch, and when the branch was about to fall, Garuda did not want to be the cause of the death of so many such people. So he held the branch between his beaks so as to He held a branch so as to protect those Valakilyas. If you can just take the child outside and calm, it is easier because others will be disturbed, right? Thank you so much. So this branch was being held as an act of protection. Then he consumed them and went further back to Kashyapa Prajapati. So I have told you the incident mentioned in Vainateyopakhyanā of what Parva of Mahabharata? Adi Parva. Now, Adi Mahabharata time period we know. Before this came the Ramayana, correct? And this incident, what I am talking about, which is recorded in the Mahabharata, happened before the Ramayana. It is mentioned in the Mahabharata, but it happened before the Ramayana. It was recorded in detail in the Mahabharata, but the incidents as a sequence of events happened before the Ramayana. Now I will take you to the Ramayana. In Ramayana, Rama was married to Sita. What was Rama's age? Clearly established from 6 Sanskrit commentaries given for the Ramayana. How many verses? 24,000 verses we have. In the Ramayana, we have 24,000 verses housed in 7 kandams. Bala Kandam, Ayodhya Kandam, Aranya Kandam, Kishkindha Kandam, Sundara Kandam, Yuddha Kandam, Uttara Kandam. So we have 7 kandams, 24,000 verses. And we have 18 rahasyas, 18 secrets hidden within them. Bahyakshepaha, Talartaha, Bhavabhayam, Sadvrittam, Acharyavarta, Gayatri Yartaha, Hidamuchitaparam Tattva, Arthamscha Pancha, Karpanyam, Sheshabhavaha, Ghatakavidipalam, Paratantriyam, Tatatad, Kashthakala Pratiksha, Vasati Padam Iti, Prahuhu, Ashtadasharthan, 18 secrets hidden within the Ramayana. So in those days, when I say those days, till we had the invasion of India, we had this paddhati, the tradition where the student, the man or the woman goes and seeks the benign blessings of his teacher and learns the quintessence of the Ramayana. Ramanujacharya 1000 years back learned the rahasyas for 1 year. So Ramayana is just not about one Adi Purush movie or Sanjay Leela Bhansali's direction. It is not Ramanand Sagar's production. It is a shastram for us. It is a scripture, a grantham that we need to respect and learn. It is just not, see, well, after having grown up in Bengaluru for a very long time and then Chennai, having learned shastram under 6 acharyas, I was longing for spiritual learnings when I went for my engineering to Pilani. So in Rajasthan, in the remote village of Pilani, while my campus was there, I used to study engineering. There was a big banner put, Rama and Pravachan, in Hindi. So I went out. Over 50,000 people had gathered. And I was seated for the lecture. The discourse person, the person who was delivering the discourse, had an excellent voice. What captivity! He said, Sita Maiya ne Ram ji se शादी किया, दोनों बन गए, उनका अपहरण हुआ, और फिर राम ने सेतु बना के वापस आ गया. I thought for 1 year we have learned shastrams. In one line he was able to quickly explain. But there is a shastram here. Remember, we have 24,000 verses. I will give you one secret, but free secret this time, free offer. So you can bucket them into first set of 1000 verses, second set of 1000 verses, which means verse 1 to verse 1000. verse 1001 to verse 2000, verse 2001 to verse 3000, verse 3001 to verse 4000. So you will have 24 sets of 1000 verses. Every set of 1000 verses will have a first verse. Every first verse will have first letter. You take the first letter. I am giving you a simple coding. Whichever language you want to use. Extract the first letter of the first verse of every set of 1000 verses. You put them together, you get Gayatri Mantra. Tatsaviturvareniyam bhargaha devasya yakaram shukkam dhimahi. You get the entire in the same order. This is a rahasyam what Valmiki has given to us. And unless and until you explore it under the directions of your Guru, you will not get revealed of these Shastras. So now let's come to Ramayana. It is clearly established that Sita was at the age of 6 and Rama was running 11 to be 12 when he got married to Sita. Sir, Sita was 6, Rama was 12. That's child marriage. What can I do? See, now you are telling as if I have conducted that marriage. It happened. I have to tell you what is there in the Grantha. If we question the legality of this marriage, then most of our grandparents were also married at that age. Remember, our great-grandparents were not postdoctorals from Queensland University at the age of 13. They were all married at the age of 12 and 13. We are that way the product. If you ask today, is it right? Today we have to follow the rule of every country. The country says the minimum age is 21, we have to follow that. Why? Be it the man or the woman, we have to be educated, we have to be qualified, we need that time to settle down. Agree. But given the Ramayana narration, Sita was 6. And that marriage was a unique marriage because Rama went to Ayodhya, to Janakapuri. There was a ritual being performed for Shiva's bow, Shiva Dhanus. Anagamisha chapadhangam janakasuta pranesham ghanakupita bhrugurama gargaharamita saketam bhavayami raghuramam. So he took Shiva's bow. Because Vishwamitra said, Rama, you are very good in archery. You may want to check how that bow works. Lift. But that bow was already a broken one. It had a crack. Ideally, Janaka should have put a bow. Be careful. It is a broken bow. Beware. If broken, treat it as sold. You should have put that. But Rama lifted the bow and he had to string it tightly. In the due process, it split into two. Rama felt a lot embarrassed because you go to somebody else's house and break their so-called priceless object. He was very embarrassed. He looked at Janaka and said, Sir, मैं कुछ नहीं कर सकता, मैं क्या करूं? इसमें लिखा नहीं था कि एक टूटा हुआ धनुष। मुझे माफ कर दीजिए, कृपया मुझे माफ कर दीजिए। Janaka said, मैं माफ करता हूँ राम, माफ करता हूँ. But you have to marry my daughter. It came as a big shocker to Rama. You break some object and you have to end up leaving the house, marrying someone. So then he said, see, only if my father agrees to this marriage, I will marry. Dasharatha said, it is a good proposal, Rama. Instead of giving the work to me to put it on some matrimony.com, 5 feet 8 inches, ragi complexion, weak complexion, big clean habits. You have found the girl. And Dasharatha gave a return proposal. He said, Janaka, I have heard that you have got another daughter called Urmila. I have another son called Lakshmana. I have also heard that you have a younger brother called Kushadhwaja who has 2 daughters called Mandavi and Shrutaki. I too have 2 sons, Bharata and Shatrugna. Let's become the inspiration for cost cutting. All 4 marriages on the same pandal. Janaka gave a thumbs up emoticon. So all 4 were married. Now they all returned to Ayodhya and lived happily for another period of 12 years. So Sita will now be very good. They were all excellent in maths. So Rama was now 24, turning 25. Muthuswami Dikshita reminds us, Sa Bhumi Janayakam Bhukti Mukti Dayakam Nama Kirtana Tarakam Naravaragatamayekam Ramachandram Bhavayami. So they lived happy. That is when Rama was turning 25, on one special day when Dasharatha was combing his hair, he found a strand of single grey hair. It seemed to him as if the grey hair was telling, enough of you ruling, give the reins to your eldest son. Bharata was away from the kingdom, he was in his uncle's kingdom. So Dasharatha planned to coronate Rama as the heir apparent. Everything went well until the nanny, the caretaker of Kaikeyi called Manthara entered the kingdom. Kamban, the Tamil poet, says, Tondriya Pooniyum Tudikkum Nenjinal, Undriya Veguliyal, Ulekkum Ullathal, Kandriyari Nayarathal, Kadikkum Sollinal, Munju Ulaginirkum More, Idukkan Muttuval. So Manthara, Kuni, she entered the premises. And getting to know that Rama will be made the heir apparent, she wanted to brainwash Kaikeyi. She said, Kaikeyi, it is not your son, Bharata, who's being made the heir apparent. It is Kaushalya's son who's being made the heir apparent. And you are telling me, Rameva, Bharateva, Vishesham, Nopalakshaye. You tell me that there is absolutely no disparity between my son and Kaushalya's son. Shame on you. Hey, Moodhe, ask for those 2 boons which you have kept in cold storage for a long time from Dasharatha. Ask that your son Bharata should be coronated and Kaushalya's son, that wretched son, should languish in the forest for a period of 14 years. Ask him that. Kaikeyi was easily manipulated. She asked Dasharatha. Dasharatha's BP came down. He fainted. She said, nothing doing, whether you are living or dead, you have to grant me those 2 boons. So Rama was called. Initially Rama was told he will be made the heir apparent. Plan A. Now he was called again and said, Abhi, plan B hai, tumhe one jana hai. Dasharatha was extremely fortunate to have Rama as his son. Had it been Krishna, he was sued him in the court. Krishna would have said, let my advocates talk to you. Kapil Sibbar or Manu Singhi will talk. They are the ones who appear very frequently, they will talk. Or if you want the other side, Subramaniam Swami will represent. So, Rama said, if my father asks me to go, I will go. He went and told Sita, Sita, I've been asked to go to the forest for 14 years. I know it's going to be a tough period for the both of us. I will be missing you a lot. The world is small, let's stay in touch. See ya, moi. Sita said, where are you leaving me? In Ayodhya. With whom? With my mother. Better I come with you. See, Sita had a problem. She didn't have mother-in-law, she had mothers-in-law. All of them were suffering from good health. So, she said, I will also join. So now the population joining Rama to the forest started increasing. Then Lakshmana said, मैं भी आता हूँ भैया, भैया. Now when I told this in Chennai, why are you telling in Hindi? They asked. See, I said, Lakshmana did not wear the t-shirt Hindi theriyadu poda. You people are ready. So Lakshmana said, भैया मैं भी आऊँगा भाभी. I will cook, I will sweep, I will mop, I will do the dishes. Sita said, don't leave this man. Chudamani, he is doing everything for us. Today Lakshmana has taken different avatars in our house. Most houses will have that Sudarshana chakra. You kick that chakra, it will do. It's Kaingarya Mantam. They are all the avatars of Lakshmana. So, now Rama had to go and inform his mother. Who is his mother? Kaushalya. He had to go tell Mata, I have to go to the Dandakaranyam, the forest of Dandaka for 14 years. Now be very vigilant. He goes and tells his mother, the mother starts crying. She tells, if children are seated in one place, it will be very helpful. Please ask them to sit. So she tells that, my dear son, you are going to the forest for 14 years. All that I can do is shed a few tears for you. At the same time, my dear son, I hereby bless you with the same 2 verses that Vinata blessed her son Garuda when he left for Amrita. Now, where were these 2 verses found? In the Adi of Mahabharata. Who now tells that I will bless you with the same 2 verses? Kaushalya to Rama. But she doesn't tell those 2 verses. She tells, I will tell you those 2 verses, what Vinata blessed Garuda with. But if you want to understand where those 2 verses are, you have to come to Mahabharata. This is why the topic is Itihasas and connectivity. You have to connect. If you are a true Astika in Sanatana Dharma, you are a true research scholar, you will never have any prejudices. If I study, I will study only Bhagavad. I will study only Ramayana. ऐसा कुछ नहीं होता है सनातन धर्म में. All these scriptures are equally important. So if you study Ramayana, you have a certain message. If you want to understand the connection for certain unfinished passages of the Ramayana, you have to read Mahabharata. Now, I told you this. So, Vinata blessed Garuda with 2 verses. Those 2 verses are invoked by Kaushalya while blessing Rama when he leaves for the forest. Now, let's come to the forest. Rama goes to the forest. He lives happily. See, the 14 years was not a troubling period. 13 years was a golden period because Lakshmana used to cook. See, if you have such a life, what a joy it will be. Somebody does all the work. You have to just get up and say, what is the menu? Somebody will ask. You know, in those days, Kshatriyas used to have this. If they clap their hands, they will get the attendance. Yarangi! 10 people in our house, we have to come. Yarangi, Nambada. Yarangi. So, in those days, the kings had that luxury. Now somebody will ask, what can I make? Then you can give that cuisine. I want parupurundai koyampu. Something you can give and they will make. So Lakshmana served them. Jagrataha swapataschate, says Lakshmana. Whether the both of you are awake or sleeping, I will serve you. So for 14 years did Lakshmana sleep? No. This is what we have been told. But here there is a problem. Let's go by simple logic. We are not sleeping for 3 nights. We can't even wake. Jagrataha, we can't be awake on the 4th day. We feel so haggard. Then we go to the doctor. He will give you some sleeping tablet, Restil or something. I am talking about Bharatiya doctor, I don't know here. If at all that Restil tablet doesn't work, he will then say, listen to Dushyant's lecture. Because both will do the same effect. So, not sleeping has various names, insomnia and so on. How can Lakshmana not sleep for 365 days for 14 years? That is why in the Ramayana itself we have an answer. In Ayodhya Kandam, towards the end, there is one verse where Rama tells in the morning, Uttishta Lakshmana. Get up Lakshmana, it's time, the sun has risen. So we have 2 occasions in the Ramayana where Rama wakes up Lakshmana. For which the commentator tells, Iti lokaha apastaha. Thereby the commentator says that the world thinking that Lakshmana did not sleep is untrue, the myth is busted. The commentator writes. Now Lakshmana served them. As they served them, now they all lived in Madhya Pradesh for a very long time and reached the banks of river Godavari in Maharashtra called Nashik Panchavati. So in Nashik Panchavati, Lakshmana erected a Parnatashala hermitage and they lived happily. That is when the widowed sister of Ravana called Shurpa Nakha. Nakha means nail. Shurpa means the winnowing fan. See, simple agricultural methodology, you pound the grain, you separate the grain from the husk. And then you want to separate the husk. How? You pour it from the top, the husk, the lighter part flies. The grain falls down. It is called winnowing. தமிழ்ல வந்து புடைக்கிறதுன்னு சொல்லுவார். புடைச்சுட்டு அந்த மேல இருக்கக்கூடிய அந்த தானியம் மட்டும் கீழே விழணும், மேல இருக்கக்கூடிய உமிழ் வந்து வெளில விடும். So you do that using a certain plate. The plate will be short in length towards you and farther from you it will be long. It is called moram in Tamil. ಕನ್ನಡದಲ್ಲಿ ಹೇಳುವಾಗ ಒಂದು ಶಬ್ದ ಇರುತ್ತೆ, ನಾನು ಹೇಳೋದು ಅರ್ಥ ಆಯ್ತಾ? ಏನ್ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ ಕನ್ನಡದಲ್ಲಿ? ಒಂದು ಮೊರ ಅಲ್ವಾ? ಸೊ ಮೊರ ಅವಳು ಈಸಿ, ಅವರ ಲ್ಯಾಂಗ್ವೇಜ್ ಇಸ್ ಮೊರ. So that mora, so you do that, it will fall. So what it essentially means is the winnowing fan is broader. So that winnowing fan in Sanskritam is called shurpa. So this lady, the sister of Ravana, had her nails not growing straight but sidewards. So she was called Shurpanakha. I had a friend who was my roommate in Bombay where I used to work there. Once every 3 months he used to get a surgery done where through that procedure they will remove his nails, because for him he had a disorder. The nails never used to grow straight, it used to grow sidewards. So Shurpanakha, she came and she proposed to Rama. A lot more can happen over a cup of coffee. She drew that whipped cream heart, some cinnamon powder at the top, like how Nakshatra Dhanam gives you. Have you heard of Nakshatra Dhanam? Starbucks. So, see, generally I don't eat outside. I have my own small roots. I don't eat onion, garlic, radish, turnip, bottle gourd, ridge gourd, drumstick, mushroom. There's a list of things that I don't eat. I don't eat outside. I eat only in Astika's houses. But Shastram says that you can consume milk from outside or tea, anything which is not added with salt. So the only thing that whenever I used to go to the US for lectures, I used to wait for that airport to ask for tea, one chart. They will ask 21 questions. Do you want it small, tall? You want it as Vamana, Trivikrama, large? Do you want it with milk, without milk? Do you want it with sugar, without sugar? Do you want it with vanilla or cinnamon powder? Yo, uru chaya. 20 blockade yaksha prashnam, 124 questions for one chai, 21 questions. And what he gives will not be that drinkable also. So, here, Shurpanakha, she proposed to Rama because Rama was extremely handsome. Rama said, I'm already married. She said, I don't have a problem. Rama said, I have a problem. Then, finally, Rama had no other option. He said, you go and propose to my brother. He's fair and lovely. She went and proposed to Lakshmana. Lakshmana said, see, I am already doing the dishes in this place. If you marry me, you will get your fair share. So while she was quite contemplating on what made the two men reject her, she saw Sita and she wanted to attack her. While on her attack, her nose was cut, and then she went and lamented to her brothers Khara, Dushana and Trishiras. They came as a number of 14,000. Rama was able to vanquish 13,999 of those demons, Rakshasas, in a place called Janasthana, which was the erstwhile capital of Dandakaranya in the state of Maharashtra around Nagpur. One man who had managed to escape, the Rakshasa called Akampana, goes and describes the valor of Rama, while Shurpanakha goes and describes the beauty of Sita. Ravana is enamored by Sita's description and he seeks the help of his uncle. Name? Very good. Maricha Mayamrigacharma Parikarnika Nirbardhanhasta. So he comes and seeks the help of his uncle called Maricha. This Maricha had a brother called Subahu. Subahu was killed and Rama did not kill Maricha. He drove him away. When Maricha was pushed, he came and sought shelter under the shade of a big banyan tree. That banyan tree was called Subhadram. And it was the same banyan tree upon which Garuda sat with that elephant and tortoise. You are able to live? 32 minutes back I told you. In Mahabharata, Garuda held that elephant and this. Now, where was this elephant and tortoise? It was in an island called Flores, which is a part of the archipelago nation Indonesia. How do you know it is Indonesia? Because I have to talk about the topic says geography. In the Ramayana, in Kishkindha Kandam, Kishkindha anta helidre Karnataka Pradesha, Bellari anta ಒಂದು district ಇದೆಯಲ್ವಾ, ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇರೋ ಒಂದು ಪ್ರಾಚೀನ ರಾಜ್ಯ ವಿಜಯನಗರ ಸಾಮ್ರಾಜ್ಯ. ವಿಜಯನಗರ ಸಾಮ್ರಾಜ್ಯದ ರಾಜಧಾನಿ ಪಂಪಾ ಕ್ಷೇತ್ರ. ಪಂಪಾ, pa, ha are replaceable. So Pampa is Hampa. Hampa became Hampi. So Hampi was the place where Vijayanagara kings ruled. And erstwhile in the Ramayana times that was called Kishkindha. See, in Sanskritam you should know where to stress and where not to stress. It is not Kishkindha. It's Kishkindha. See, in Sanskritam you have every letter taking two avatars. One without stress and one with stress. Ka, ka, ga, ga, cha, cha, ja, ja, ta, ta, da, 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 da. So there is a difference. For example, dha and va. Dhava in Sanskritam means husband. Dhava means husband. Ma means Mahalakshmi. Mahalakshmi's husband is called Madhava. You've heard of this name Madhava? Madhava means Mahalakshmi's husband. So if the lady loses the husband is dead, she is called Vidhava. Dhava, husband, Vidhava. Look at Sanskritam, it is very easy. Madhava, Vidhava. If the man loses the wife, he is a widower, then he is Vidhura. Vidhura, Vidhava, Madhava, it is very easy. So Kishkindha. So while Sugriva and Vali were in Kishkindha, and Vali was killed by Rama, then it was Sugriva's turn to help Rama, because he had promised, in your wife's search, I will send my Vanaras. Like HR, he had VR, Vanara resources. He said, I will send them in one direction. That time, Sugriva tells those Vanaras which are going in the eastern direction, he tells them, you will find many islands, he says. That time he says there is an island called Yavadvipeva. There is an island called Yavadvipam. See, in Sanskritam, Ya and Ja are replaceable letters. For example, we in Sanskritam call it Yamuna. Dhira samire Yamuna tire. Dhira samire Yamuna tire. Yamuna. So Yamuna in the north, many people say Jamuna. Jamuna kinare nyare. Yaja, replaceable terms. When the great sage of Kanchi Paramacharya lived, he once called the Vedic practitioners from Uttara Bharatam and the Vedic practitioners from Dakshina Bharatam and said, 1, 2, 3, both of you start reciting Vedam. He wanted to know if both were being recited in the same tone. They recited. He concluded they are the same, except places where Ya comes. In Vedam it says Yasmai. In the north they will say Jasmai. So Ya and Ja are replaceable letters. So Sugriva tells, go and search for her in an island called Yavadvipam. Now replace Ya with Ja. Java. Java. Further to Java, he tells there is an island where you can find short elephants and short tortoises. That is where Garuda goes. Now you may ask, will Garuda fly that long? If we know ornithology, birds can fly thousands of kilometers. And where did Garuda come and sit on that banyan tree? It was the Pamban Island south of India. That is where you got that banyan tree. Look at the geographical connection Ramayana draws. Look at the consistency between Ramayana and Mahabharatam in Garuda Upakhana. This is between Itihasas. What are the Itihasas in discussion? Ramayana and Mahabharata. I will give you another instance that happens between Itihasa and Purana. See, I have told you between Itihasas. Now, between Itihasa and Purana, I will give you a description. First of all, sir, we have understood what Itihasa is. What is Purana? Pura api navam Puranam. This is the definition. Nava in Sanskrit means 9. Nava means new, modern. We say Naveen, right? Naveen should look very modern. He should wear toned jeans. That is how Naveen should look. Naveen means new. Nava means 9. Both meanings are okay. Pura Abhinavam, though old, yet seeming very contemporary, is called Puranam. And there are many Puranas. But certain Puranas are accorded full authenticity by Adi Shankara, Ramanuja and Madhvacharya. Primarily among them are Srimad Bhagavata Mahapuranam, Vishnu Puranam, Padma Puranam, some parts of Shiva Puranam, some parts of Linga Puranam, some parts of Padma Puranam, some parts of Brahmanda Puranam. These will keep getting quoted in their commentaries time and again. But what is the difference between Itihasam and Puranam? See, Itihasa is written during that time. Valmiki saw Rama wake up, brush his teeth, take bath, live with Sita, go to the forest and then come back. So it was as it happened, whereas Puranas is not like that. An incident has occurred. That occurred incident would have been narrated by one Rishi to the other. That Rishi B will tell Rishi C, Rishi C will tell Rishi D, Rishi D will have one Sishya, the Sishya will ask questions to the Rishi D, Rishi D will tell, good, my dear Sishya, your question was very good. The same question was asked by Rishi C to his Rishi B. I will tell you what Rishi B told Rishi A. So this conversation itself will be, this person told that person told this person. So there are little chances for certain details getting misinterpreted. That is why when there is a conflict between an Itihasa and a Purana, Itihasa is given more importance. Is that rule found today, sir? Yes, in mathematics, when we deal with integral calculus, there is a rule called UV rule. There we have to understand which one to give more importance. There is a rule called ILATE, inverse, logarithmic, algebraic, trigonometric, exponential. When there are 5 phrases, the first importance should be given to inverse and the last should be given to exponential. So our mathematicians have learned Ramayanam and Mahabharatam very well. They are following the same rule. So Puranam is that. I told you, right, Rishi, if you ask Rishi D will tell Rishi C ask the same question. Sir, this is very similar to what? It is similar to Wood God's Gripe Water advertisement. Have you seen it? If a child cries, they won't give Wood God's Gripe Water. Then the party will come. There will be 4 rooms in that house, all the ladies will be living and they will all come. That is Puranam. So, between Itihasas, between Ramayanam and Mahabharatam, I said there is consistency just some time back using Garuda as the example. I will now tell you the consistency between an Itihasa and a Purana. In the Itihasam called Srimad Ramayanam, there is a place where Bharata lives in the region called Kekeya Desham. Kekeya was the province in and around the upper parts of Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. If you know the geography in Pakistan, there is a region called Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. There is an upper part of western Punjab. There are some parts of upper part of Afghanistan, some parts of western Kashmir and lower parts of Turkmenistan. All this together is called as Kekeya. And kings who ruled the Rajyam of Kekeya were called by a surname called Ashwapati. Ashwapati means those kings who were adept their business. For example, when we come to Western Australia, you will tell this is the primary occupation here. Eastern Australia is this. Similarly, in and around Kekeya Desha, the kings were very good at nurturing, nourishing and training war horses. Horses Ashwa. So they were called Ashwapati. In Persian language, you don't have Shwa, you have only Fa. So Ashwa becomes Afghan. That's why you have that name Afghanistan there. So Kaikai belonged to the region of Kekeya. So after marriage, what was Bharata's age while getting married? Very good, 12. Because if Rama has 12, even Bharata has to be 12. They were born on the next days. Punarvasu and Pushyam. So Bharata with his wife Mandavi and his younger brother, dear brother Shatrughna with his wife Shrutakirti, after their marriage they went to Kekeya. They didn't stay in Ayodhya. So for 12 long years, Bharata and Shatrughna with their respective consorts lived in Kekeya. At that time only, Kaikeyi asked for the boon, Dasharatha swooned, and then when Rama left Ayodhya, Dasharatha died. Dasharatha was dead. That night, remember this point very well, that night when Dasharatha was dead, Bharata had a dream. It's called Swapna Parva. It comes in Ayodhya Kandam. You can go and fact check. Read the original Grantham, you will enjoy Ramayana. If we watch movies, it will help only to a minor extent. When you read the original scripture, the joy that you are encompassed with is unexplainable. It's priceless to say the least. So Bharata had a dream. Having had this dream, he woke up and described his dream to Shatrughna. Shatrughna says, why are you perplexed, Bharata? Bharata tells, I had a dream. What was the dream? The dream was that Dasharatha was on a tonsured head, mundanam, without leaving any hair. See, in Sanatana Dharma, be it the girl child or the boy child, after their birth, in a period of 6 months to 1 year, you have to do one mundanam. And if it is a boy, when the child undergoes Upanayanam, you have to do little mundanam. Now boys say don't do full mundanam. So as namesake, you take 2 strands of hair. This is all mundanam should be done. And in most sampradayas, when the father is lost or the mother is dead, that time they do mundanam. You have to keep little hair and do. That is all is reserved for mundanam. You should not do mundanam. My son has to pass in thermodynamics exam, mundanam. My daughter has to get a Dux award, mundanam. You should not do mundanam every now and then as per Shastra. Now you may ask, what if I do? See, in Sanatana Dharma, there is no one monitoring body. This is what the rule is. You want to follow, follow, else don't. It's your own karma. We don't issue any statements. Hereby, you have gone astray from the rules of Dharma, we excommunicate. Nobody will excommunicate. You want to follow, you follow, else don't follow. That's all. Yet Shastra vidhimutsrijyam vartate kamakarataha nasasiddhim avapnoti, says Krishna in Gita. This is what I have given as Shastra. Arjuna, you want to follow, follow, else don't follow. You know, Shakespeare said, to be or not to be. Here, to follow or not to follow is the choice. Robert Frost said, there are 2 roads that diverged in a yellow wood, and sorry I could not travel both, and be one traveller, long I stood, and looked down one as far as I could to where it bent to the undergrowth, then took the one as just as fair, and having perhaps the better claim, says Robert Frost. It's our choice. So Dasharatha was in a tonsured head, not even 1 strand of hair. He was smeared in oil, wearing black and red clothes, giving a gaffa that was as devilish as it can. He was tied with iron chains and he was pulled by a lady with evil looks. He was pulled and made to sit on a donkey, and that was going in the southern direction, and it looked as if he was jumping from the top of a cliff into an ocean filled with dung. This is the example, description given in Ramayana. That moment when Bharata saw this as a dream, he woke up sweating. He said, Shatrughna, something wrong has happened in Ayodhya. Something gives me the jitters that something unpleasant has happened. Shatrughna says, don't worry, what can go wrong when Rama is in Ayodhya? But the truth was, Rama was not in Ayodhya, he had left for the forest. That time, remember this very well when I tell you, that time, there is a verse in the Ramayana. Shatrughna arranged for people doing katha, is the statement. Katha Nikshepa. So people who were good in speaking, narration, they were called and they were asked to narrate so that the fears, the unfound fears in Bharata can go away. This is all Ramayana states. But what story was narrated is not said in Ramayana. You're able to get? There was a bad dream. Shatrughna wanted to bring confidence in Bharata, so he called people adept in narrating and said narrate. So that my brother who has seen bad dreams gets confidence. This is told in Ramayana. But what story was told, we don't know. Sir, kuch bhi story ho sakta hai na. Kuch bhi story ho sakta hai. What all stories we know? We have been learning under the Acharya's grace from our childhood. What is that story? One person sat on a wall and fell. Who is that? Humpty. Whenever some elderly person comes to my house, my grandmother says, Mama, the Humpty Dumpty chulli kam. Rigveda mandram. Humpty Dumpty sat on. Sir, putti chavle rood kalkta. Then two people went up the hill to bring tirtham for Abhishekam. Who are they? Oh, Jack and Jill. As he called flat foot, he fell. Yeah, Jack and Jill went up the hill to fetch a pail of water for Abhishekam. Jack fell down and broke his crown. Jill pinadi undu. Adu right. Then innondu undu karupadu. Oh, Baba black sheep. Adu sotta pirichu kuttidu. We have spent our childhood giving more importance and stress. We were like a sponge. We could have grasped anything. We spent our time on all of this. Now when we are interested in Vedam, the memory doesn't support us. Our memory will dissipate like a volatile substance. Because when we have the ability to grasp, we don't spend. Or we spend on things that are not that important. What is this? I am giving my example. 5-mark question, shoot system, root system, 1857 Battle of Plassey, 1857 Battle of Plassey, 1857 Battle of Plassey. Aurangzeb, Babur, Humayun, Vyasam, Vasithan, Avtaram, Parambarai Purichko. Then we go give that exam. Then in my 8th standard, some unique guest will come and ask, what are you planning to become? Dushyanth? What are you planning to become? My grandmother said, engineer. She answered for me. Then we become engineers. How many engineers here? My deepest condolences. So, then we go to an engineering college. In the 2nd year, after studying mass transfer operations, heat transfer operations, we realize we are not meant for it. It is too late. Then we complete 4 years. Then we will take MBA in finance. There should be no previous relationship with your previous degree. When we are doing MBA finance, we realize we are not that good. Then we do PhD in colonial literature. And then finally become an Upanyasaka. So, here, the connection now, Bharata had bad dreams. What was narrated to him? Ramayana doesn't even answer. It says that something was narrated to get him rid of the effects of bad dream. Dusvapnaha. See, in Sahasranamam you have a nama, Dusvapnanashanaha. Have you heard of this? Sahasranamam Ketamani? Bandira this one. Yakendre Kelurige, Mudrinda Helbe. Vishwam Vishnu Vashatkaran, Yashtu Samaya Alve. ಅದು ಬರತ್ತೆ ಅಂತ ಒಂದು ವಿಶ್ವಾಸ ಇರಬೇಕು ನಿಮಗೆ. ದುಸ್ವಪ್ನ ನಾಶನಃ. If you recite the name of the Lord, He will help you get rid of bad dreams, or the effects of bad dreams will go away. See, many people suffer from it. Just because you don't have bad dreams, don't think. Many people wake up to bad dreams and their entire day will be sad. So Sahasranamam has a nama called Dusvapnanashanaha. That is the name of the Lord. So agree. Now Dusvapnanashanaha means one who helps get rid of bad dreams or the effects of bad dreams. Where do we find an answer to this? The Itihasa called Ramayana says something was narrated for Dusvapnanashanaha. Sahasranamam says the Lord's name is Dusvapnanashanaha. But what is recited? The answer comes in Bhagavata Mahapurana. In the 8th skandam, Ashtama skandam, chapter 2, 3, 4 is called Gajendra Moksham. Have you heard of Gajendra Moksham? This is the first story any grandparent will tell the child. There was a crocodile, there was an elephant, and if you have to enact, mostly the grandfather will be the crocodile. And the party she will become Vishnu with the plate, Ratna Store's plate. So, Gajendra Moksham is a very relatable story. If you go to Masai Mara in Kenya, where the migration happens, if they take you in a vehicle, you can see that day in and day out, an elephant will get into that pond, the crocodile will catch the leg of that elephant. It is a natural, regular happening in any national park of Africa. So, such a natural happening, why did Shukam Brahma mention? There is a point there. The elephant's leg was caught by the jaws, in the jaws of that crocodile, that ferocious crocodile. Gaja akarshate tire, graha akarshate jale, says Puranam. The elephant's friends were trying to pull the other 3 legs. The crocodile was trying to pull 1 leg. So they were trying to pull, one was trying to pull the elephant to the land, the other to the water. The elephant was caught between the 2. It is any natural happening. It is not something unique and special that it has to find a mention or a description in our Puranas. But it becomes divine in one point when the elephant was able to remember its Purva Janmam. See, we all have Purva Janmas. This is the basic theory, understanding of Sanatana Dharma. Sanatana Dharma as a civilization is unique in this way, where it believes in past and future lives. We are not a religion whose theology is linear in nature. You are born, you are living, you are dead, and you are never born again. No. Sir, in that way, can you prove through a CCTV camera that the Atma is coming from the previous body? We don't have that footage. But we can go logically. If at the age of 40 a person is going with symptoms and then getting tested, the doctor looks to the reports and says your HbA1c is 8.5. And then asks the patient, are you under stress? Are you working for 10 hours a day? Do you consume a lot of sweets? Don't you have a healthy lifestyle of walking? Then it is attributed. So I don't walk, I eat a lot, I have stress, so I have diabetes at the age of 40. So, my current Janma's activities, karma is responsible for HbA1c 8.5. A newborn child has diabetes. What will you tell that child? Will you say you had Mysore Pak? It is a newborn child. It suffers. That is when Sanatana Dharma says the child carries the karma of the previous Janma. So, Purva Janma Vrittantam can be logically deciphered or inferred. So, 1 in 1 lakh people, 1 in 1 lakh will remember their Purva Janma. They are called by a technical name Jatismaraha in Vedanta. This elephant was a Jatismara. When the crocodile pulled, at one point it remembered its Purva Janma, that it was the king of Pandya Desham, Madurai region. Indradyumnaha Pandya Khandadirajas Tvadbhaktatma Chandanadrau Kadachit Tvadsevaya Magnadhihi Aluloke Naivagastyam Praptamatithyakamam, says Narayana Bhattadri Narayani. He was called by the name Indradyumna. He was the ruler, the monarch of a region called Pandya Desham, whose capital was Kavata. Because of a curse that was given by a rishi called Agastya, he was now born as an elephant. And in that elephant Janma, he was able to remember his previous Janma as Indradyumna Raja, and in that stage, whatever prayer with which he venerated Narayana, in the mind the elephant started to venerate Narayana with the same prayer. Today in Bhagavatam it is called Gajendra Stuti. Gajendra did a stuti. It doesn't mean like Lion King movie, the elephant started speaking. It means the elephant meditated on that stuti. So then we all know what happened in Gajendra Moksha. It said, the one who is the causeless cause. Causeless cause means, see, I have a cause. My father is my cause. My mother is my cause. Am I the cause? Yes, I have a child. I am the cause for her with my wife. Is my mother a causeless cause? No, my mother has her parents who are the cause. So every one of us, we have a cause. But the elephant said, I don't want the cause to help. I want the causeless cause to help. Which means I want someone who doesn't have a cause to help me. Causeless cause. The other meaning is Adi Moolame, Adi Vijaya, Adi Abhyaktaya. So generally when you have two free consecutive words, in the old movies you had this echo concept. Reka, Reka, Reka. Nanu, Nanu, Nanu. Illi, Illi, Illi. Have you heard of that? From the top of the mountain the hero will shout. So now the elephant said, Adi Vijaya. First cause, primary cause, causeless cause. In that, Adi Vijaya, Vijaya, Vijaya. Cause word was heard. Immediately Lord Shiva left Kailasham. Brahma left Satyalokam. Indra left Amaravati Pattinam. They all started. Then slowly that word in the echo, Adi was heard. Adi, Adi, they all said. They all returned. Then Narayana jumped from his serpent couch. Garuda, his vehicle was resting for some time. He had some good food that day and he was sleeping. He knocked at Garuda and said, Garuda, come, come, come. Garuda said, put that drop point, sir. Namur kade Uber, Ola irutte. You have to put that drop point. Hogi, hurry, hurry. Kalambu, Yanga Pon, Atha Sulu. Chennai auto drivers, they are Vedantis. They have studied Vedanta. They say, why should I respect you? Because the Jivatma is eternal. Ninga vanga salam, vanakadukku mavada. So they are very clear. They are all studied Upanishads. So here, the Lord said, Garuda, go! That elephant is suffering, go there. So the Lord stood on the elephant with Shankar and Chakram. We have a descriptive account of how the Lord took his ayudhams and stood on Garuda and went. And as they were about to approach the Tatakam, the lake, the Lord stood. See, I studied for 4 years in Chennai and my grandparents were in Bangalore. So there used to be a train called, I don't know if you know, Vrindavan Express. So it will stop wherever there is a station and where there is no station also. It will stop Then after Kotpadi, Jolorpet, Bangarpet, Malur, Kuppam, we will get, and slowly we will get a place called Whitefield. In those days, Whitefield was in the outskirts of Bangalore. Today that is Bangalore. Bangalore has grown till Chennai. So, station after station it used to come and we all used to take that luggage. In those days, I'm sure elderly people here can relate to. We will go city after city and buy tur dal and come, because in Chennai tur dal will be 50 paisa less than Bangalore. So we will carry 25 kgs of tur dal. And in Chennai, I don't know if you visited Chennai Central, it is a long platform. And our Purva Janma Karma, our compartment will be S13. And we will call one porter. And then with the porter, they will bargain. That porter will say 25 rupees. Nothing going, 20 rupees. And then the porter, he will be given that luggage. And that time in our house, they will say, Achyo kuduko. Hamtuki porter. Ruwa kudukro. And porter with so much of luggage, he will run. With no luggage, we will walk. Then in our house, they will say, Pongo, avaroda pongo, pende, avaroda kuda pongo. If he takes the dal, see, if he had been so smart, he would have become an MLA. Why did he become a porter? So, we will run behind that porter and we will carry all that luggage, and when Whitefield comes, we will take all the luggage and go and stand near the door. Because if we stand near the door, the belief is we will reach home early. But then what will happen that they will put in some place called outer. Half an hour you have to keep standing. So the Lord stood on Garuda and was waiting to meet the crocodile, and he turned. Chakra was missing. Probably we have left it in Vaikuntha and come. Lakshmi, usko FedEx karna? No, by the time he turned and saw Sudarshana missing, Sudarshana had done its job by cutting the crocodile's head. In Tamil it is called Yellena. You have to understand things quickly. It's called Karpura Buddhi. You have to be very quick in understanding and analyzing. So it cut. Then the Lord went and then he massaged the leg, the bruised leg of the elephant, took that withered lotus flower from its trunk and said, for submitting this lotus flower, did you have to take so much of pain, Gajendra? And he embraced that elephant. And finally, the Atma within the crocodile was given mukti, freedom. And towards the end of that Janma, Gajendra was given moksha. So it is called Gajendra Moksha Vrittantam. Where is this described? In the 2nd, 3rd and 4th chapters of which skandam in Bhagavatam? 8. 8th skandam. Towards the end of that Gajendra Moksha Vrittantam, there is a shlokam in Bhagavatam. Read that. If you go to the 4th chapter of the 8th canto, you can do the testing also. Vedabase.io. You want to check what I have said is right or wrong, you can do. The last shloka in that chapter is, those of them who experience bad dreams should read this charitram. Dusvapna nashanaha. So, in Ramayana, which is an itihasa, when Bharata faced a bad dream, Shatrughna engaged the storyteller. What story? We don't know. Vishnu Sahasranamam says the Lord is given the name Dusvapna nashanaha, the one who and whose greatness and qualities, when elucidated or delineated, helps us get rid of the effects of bad dreams. Which is the Vrittantam or narration that we have to hear. Bhagavatam 8th canto says, if you listen to Gajendra Moksha, it will go away. So that is why Itihasam and Puranam are connected. Between Itihasas, Ramayana and Mahabharata are connected. Between Itihasam and Puranam, they are connected. Next, which is the last part. Are there any contradictions between the two? When there is agreement, there can be contradictions. I will give you an example. In the Bhagavatam, there is this Upodghatam, inauguration. You will all know that Pandavas, they were languishing in the forest for a period of 12 years. It is called Vanavasam. Then Shakuni laid one extra rule. He said 1 year of incognito. It was called Ajñātavasa. They should not reveal their identity. Towards the end of that Ajñātavasa, they are successful and they get back. Meanwhile, Krishna had a sister called Subhadra. That Bha you should stress. In Sanskritam, Bha is different from Bha. Subhadra. So Subhadra and Arjuna were married and they had a son called Abhimanyu. Abhimanyu was married to the princess of Virata Desha called Uttara Kumari. Uttara Kumari was pregnant. She was in her beginning of a 3rd trimester when the Mahabharata Yuddham was fought. So till the first 2 trimesters, Abhimanyu used to take her to the obstetrician, all reports were all normal. When the Yuddham began, that is when they hatched a plan to kill Abhimanyu in a vyuham, in a strategy called Chakra Vyuham. So Abhimanyu died, thereby the child who will be born as a posthumous child, he never see his father. At that point in time, Arjuna manages to vanquish the one who caused the death called Jayadratha. And in the due course of the Yuddham, Shakuni has a plan. Shakuni wants to kill, somehow kill Arjuna. That point in time, they realize how they could kill. How? Because when Arjuna, see in Mahabharata, I have to go back and forth, you have to travel with me. When they constructed a kingdom called as Indraprastha, which was called Khandavaprastha, Arjuna managed to burn the forest. Here you have that controlled fire. So it was controlled fire. In those, now you have that app which tells you red alert, orange alert, black alert. Similarly, there was controlled fire. Khandavavana Dahanam. When the Dahanam happened, one snake family was affected. It was the family of Takshaka. Takshaka's son escaped, his wife died. The son was called Ashwasena. So Takshaka bore a great revenge, vendetta against Arjuna. And who knew that there was a vendetta against Arjuna by Takshaka? Shakuni. Shakuni was a super intelligent person. If he was living today, he will be hired by most corporates for mergers and acquisitions. But why isn't Shakuni that successful? Because unfortunately when he lived, he had 1,000 times more intelligent strategist called Krishna. So the Shakuni knew that this Takshaka was waiting for an opportunity, and so was his son Ashwasena. So when Arjuna was fighting Karna, Shakuni said, on your arrow I will tie this snake. And you send it to Arjuna, and Arjuna will be bitten by the snake. Krishna knew this the previous day. So what he did was, in the night, the place where the Ratham used to stand, he dug a depth of 1 foot. So next day when Karna aimed the arrow, thinking this was the height, Krishna lowered the height by 1 foot, and what had to strike Arjuna's head, that snake struck Arjuna's crown. In Tamil there is a local saying, Talekku vandadu, Talappa. It went, it couldn't harm. Now, the mission of Takshaka was still not achieved. Remember, he wanted to kill Arjuna, he couldn't. When he thought that Krishna was invincible, he thought, let me now kill his son, Arjuna's son. Who was Arjuna's son? Abhimanyu. But Abhimanyu died in Chakravyuha. This Abhimanyu had a son later called Parikshit. Parikshit was to be killed by the snake. But how? Bhagavatam tells that Parikshit, as a reigning monarch of that region, went on a hunting spree. When I told this in India, they said hunting is prohibited. I said, in India, hunting is prohibited. But there are various parts of other countries where hunting is allowed with a license. When I go to the US, they say in these states hunting is allowed. So Parikshit did that hunting. See, we are Astikas today, we are too judgmental. We will always judge Puranas based on the rules of current day constitution. That itself is wrong, illogical. So, Parikshit went on a hunting spree. When he went to the forest, after hunting for some time, he felt thirsty. He went to an ashramam nearby, and in that ashrama, a rishi was performing penance, and that rishi was performing tapasya genuinely, not like our tapasya. We do recite Vishnu Sahasranam, Vishwam Vishnu Vashakkaro, and phone off. Bhuta Bhagya Bhavat Prabhu Bhuta Bhuta Pritpavo, at the Yara Kadal Katra Parana, Bhuta Bhavana, Bhutatma, Paramatma, Muktara. Kukkara vechirken and Udatma, Paramatma, Muttana, Paramangati. I think somebody is ringing, go pick up the phone. Purusha Sakshi, Kshetra, Yoksharaye, Vacha, Yogo, Yoga, Vida. Epo Varendri Kava? Pradhana, Purusheshwara, Narasimha, Pushima, Keshava, Purushottama. You Nigga, Vada, you come the way. Narasimha, Pushima, Keshava, Purush. So, hundreds of interruptions we receive. We call it dhyana. I would love to meditate. You know, meditation requires that baritone voice. You cannot speak the way that I do. Think there is white light. And close your eyes and just meditate about what all you've done yesterday. You play that on your phone. Think about what all you've done yesterday. What have you done? Can you see that white light? So, Dhyanam has a different description from what our modern meditative gurus give. Shastram doesn't accept the Dhyanam. It's called Bhagavad Dhyana Sopanam. There are 8 steps, says Patanjali. Now let's get back. But this Rishi was meditating genuinely. So when the king Parikshit came and said, I am thirsty, he didn't answer because his Dhyanam was elsewhere. I am Parikshit, the king of this Rajyam, I am thirsty. The Rishi didn't answer. Despite so many clarion calls, the Rishi didn't answer. Immediately, the king saw a dead snake lying on the ground. He lifted that snake with an arrow and placed it in like a garland around the Rishi's neck and said, You and the dead snake are the same, because that won't answer and so are you. And he left angrily. This is where it should stop. No. This act of the king garlanding the Rishi with the dead snake was noticed by the Rishi's son's friend. That boy went and told the Rishi's son, what are you? Your father has been humiliated, insulted by the king with the dead snake. Immediately the boy took some waters. Now that the king has insulted my father, I hereby curse that a snake with virulent poison called Takshaka should kill Parikshit on the 7th day from now, and he should die. Have you heard of this? Then Parikshit, after knowing, because next day Times of Hastinapura newspaper carried information, Parikshit, our king will be dead in 7 days. So Parikshit thought, I know that I will die in 7 days, might as well spend this usefully. He went and sat by the banks of river Ganga. That is when a young person called Vayashtavarsham Sukumarapadam, 16-year-old young person called Shukabrahman, the son of Vyasacharya, came of his own accord. He asked Parikshit, do you have questions? Parikshit asked questions, Shukabrahman gave answers. He asked questions, Shuka gave answers. He asked questions, Shuka gave answers. This compendium of Parikshit's questions and Shuka's answers is clubbed as Bhagavata Mahapuranam. So 24 cross 7 for 7 days, 24 hours a day, Parikshit listened to Bhagavatam. 7th day what happened? Bhagavatam doesn't tell what happened after that 7 days. Did he die? It doesn't say. How did he die? It doesn't say. It just says there was a curse. For the 7 days, Parikshit listened. What happened to him? It comes in Mahabharata. In Mahabharata, after listening for 7 days, Parikshit erects full reptile jammers around him. Like metal jammers, reptile jammers. So people who come into his rampart or fortress have to pass through that reptile jammer. No reptile can come. A group of Brahmanas came visiting him. They passed through that reptile jammer and they carried prasadam as lemon. So Mahabharatam states, now when that lemon was given as a prasadam to Parikshit, Parikshit cut it open and he saw a small worm lying inside it. Because you know, in many vegetables, I don't know, now we get all perfect vegetables. Imperfect vegetables, if you get in Bharatadesham, you will find worms. So Parikshit took that worm as an act of arrogance and said, that Rishi's son cursed that I will be killed by Takshaka. That snake and I will die in 7 days, it seems. What I have got in return is this little worm. he placed that on his neck. That very second, it is said that the neck, that worm turned into Takshaka, bit him and he died. So what will happen to Parikshit is told in Bhagavatam. What happened in reality is told in Mahabharatam. This is where we have connection between Itihasam and Purana. So Itihasas, the connection between the Itihasas, namely Ramayana and Mahabharatam, the connection between an Itihasa like Ramayana or Mahabharatam with Bhagavatam, which is a Purana, the connection between Purana, its narration, and Itihasam was told through three examples: Garuda Upakhyanam, Gajendra Moksha Vrittantam, and Parikshit's Charitram. Whether does it have connection with geography, I described parts of Kekaya Desha to you. I told you about Kashmira. I told you about Hastinapura. I told you about Pandya Desha. I went till Java. I went till Flores Island in the archipelago nation of Indonesia. I went to the Pamban Island found between Bharata Desham and Lanka. So there is a geographic connection. Is it consistent? Yes. What is great about the consistency? Despite having a large difference of time gap, Treta Yugam, Dwapara Yugam, 5000 BCE, 3000 BCE, there is consistency. That is why consistency, coherence, connectivity and geography between our Itihasas and Puranas is a beautiful gem that we all should realize that we come from such a civilization. See, a civilization is just not about having one holy book. It is about respecting the past to which the land you belong to. Respecting the geography. Respecting the sentiments of the people and what they have worshipped in their past to get it connected to the present. If we have a reference to Kashyapa Prajapati in the Ramayana, Kashyapo Bhavati in the Ramayana, then we have Aruna Prashnam previous to it, to which we recite Kashyapo Bhavati. There is a temple for Kashyapa near Srinagar. If we think about Hastinapura related to Pandavas and Kauravas, their guru was Dronacharya. The place is called Gurugram near Delhi, where Guru Dronacharya was. If we think about Krishna, who ruled an island called Dwaraka off the coast of Gujarat, till about the 16th century, the map stated very clearly that Thailand was called Dwaravati because Narakasura lived there. Narakasura's son called as Bhagadatta escaped with his tribe all the way westward and later came in the Mahabharata Yuddham to fight Arjuna. It is said by scholars how the name change happened from Bhagadatta to Baghdad. That connection in Iraq. So there is a geographic connection, there is an etymological connection through languages. How beautifully languages change when borders change. How beautifully the cuisine changes when the language changes. How worship changes. Many temples in and around Bihar, Madhya Pradesh, parts of Odisha, upper part of Maharashtra, Rajasthan, Gujarat, Punjab, lower part of Kashmir, entire Pakistan till Afghanistan is up above and below the Tropic of Cancer where the angle of the sun is strong. So this belt is called the solar belt. Shauram in Sanskritam means Surya. So it is called Shaura belt. That is why parts of Gujarat is called Shaurashtra. Shauram. That is why the raga used by Muthuswami Dikshitar to venerate Surya is in the raga Saurashtra. Surya Murte Namostute Sundare. The ragam is called Saurashtra. If you look to Pakistan, there is a place called Multan, which was called Mulasthanam. There was a temple for Surya. And the magnets in the temple were arranged in such a way that the central deity of Surya will float in mid-air. It was a golden image with rubies in the eyes. I am not saying this. The 10th century traveler called Al-Biruni, who was a Muslim traveler, in this record says, I visited the Surya temple. with the image floating in mid-air. So it was called Moolasthanam Multan, where Surya temple was. So there is absolute connectivity. It is in our hands how we explore our Shastram further and get learnings from it. All of it is relevant. Trust me, when you listen to Gajendra Moksham, each person can derive their own learnings. In your troubled times, when you think of the Lord will come to your rescue. Like how Gajendra was rescued. If you have an association with the devotees someday or the other, you too will get good mukti. Like how crocodile gets mukti with association with the Bhagavata called the elephant. Every bit of our Shastra is decipherable and message conveyable Grantham. And we have to explore that. And to explore that further, the Astikas of the association here, of the Vedic learning, they have said we have got another day of discourse, which is the Wednesday tomorrow. And the topic is unconditional surrender. Sharanagati, which is found throughout the Ramayana. It's a beautiful topic. I am concluding my tour with Ramayana tomorrow. They have made today's lecture and tomorrow's lecture, the Astikas who have organized, have made this open to all, free for all. All that you have to do is, you call your friend tonight you call him. Tell them, he's not that bad. He's workable. So attend tomorrow. So bring them. And why is this arranged in English? My mother tongue is Tamil. I can very well speak in Tamil. And people, your Astikas in Tamil may want to listen to in Tamil. Kannadalli ಮಾತಾಡಬಹುದು. ನಾನು ಹುಟ್ಟಿದ್ದು ಬೆಳೆದಿದ್ದು ಎಲ್ಲ ಬೆಂಗಳೂರು, ಕರ್ನಾಟಕ ಪ್ರದೇಶದ ರಾಜಧಾನಿ. ಕಸ್ತೂರಿ ಕನ್ನಡದಲ್ಲಿ ಮಾತಾಡಬಹುದು. ನನಗೇನು ತೊಂದರೆ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಆಕ್ಷೇಪ ಯಾವುದೂ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಆದರೆ ನಾನು ಮಾತಾಡೋದು ಕನ್ನಡದಲ್ಲೂ ಇಲ್ಲ, ನಾನು ತಮಿಳಿಯಲ್ಲೂ ಬೇಸಿಲ್ಲ. Why have we chosen English? Because we have Astikas of various languages. And the content of our Puranas is not region specific. It is only for Marathi, it is only for Kannada. No. Ramayana is for all. So English as a linked language is being used so that we can bring people from all communities together. So please tell your friends of Tamil, Malayalam, Kannada, Odia, Telugu, Marathi, Gujarati, Punjabi, Hindi, Bengali speaking communities. Please, it's English lecture. It is Indian accent, but we can still understand. Come and listen. So tomorrow, same timings, we will be dealing with Ramayana as a topic. Now, question answer, Rika? Yes. Okay, so we can open the house for 2 questions because people have been, elderly people are seated here for a long time. They have to go home. So 2 quick questions. When I say quick, I will try my level best to answer to the question if I know of the answer. Keep your question less than 10 seconds. Let the question in itself not become an upanyasa. Keep the question short and succinct. If I know the answer, I will give you the answer. Please, whoever has the first question, Sir Swami Kittu. Namaste, sir. Please ask the questions in English so that others can also understand. Yes, sir.
One contradiction, not a contradiction but a doubt. You have a link between Treta Yugam and Dwaparam and it goes on the links, but one started before and other was after. How is the link from the after coming into the before?
Okay. Okay, I'll take up this question. So, Swami, on the Trinamam? Dinakara Swami has asked a question about the chronology. Why is there a chronological mismatch? See, we all know, if I have to give you the modern dating, we are now in 2024. Technically in history we call it 2024 AD or 2024 CE. CE is Common Era. Now till Z1 to 2024 we have Common Era. Before that it is called BCE, before Common Era. So roughly if I have to give you 2024 is now. 2020 was COVID. Correct? 1947 was Bharata's independence from the colonial rule. 1857 is Battle of Plassey. 1600s is Battle of Talikot. Then around the 12th century was Qutbuddin Aibak. 10th century is when we had the later part of Pallava dynasty and early part of Chola dynasty. 6th century is when Chalukyas were at the top in northern Karnataka. I'm just giving you a timeline to help you. 2nd century AD, Guptas were very strong. 500 BCE is around the place where we get edicts of Buddha. So Buddha, Siddhartha lived then. 600 BCE is when the 24th Tirthankara Mahavira lived. Between 600 BCE and 2500 BCE is where we have evidences of the IVC, Indus Valley civilization. In and around Harappa, Mohenjo-daro, Dholavira and so on. In 3102 BCE is when Mahabharata ended. Okay. 2000 years before that, 5114 BCE is when we have Ramayana. And before that is when Matsyavatara, Kurmavatara, Varahavatara, Nisimhavatara, Vamanavatara, Trivikramavatara, Hamsavatara. One part of Parashuramavatara, great exploits of Lord Shiva like Tripura Samhara, Andhakasuravadha, they all happened before Ramayana. In that list of events that happened before Ramayana, even this Garuda's history comes. Though it happened before Rama, parts of it are referenced in the Ramayana in 5000 BCE, and the entire incident is narrated in 3000 BCE. Now, what is that? See, the incident of Garuda, let's say, I'm giving you an example, happened in 6000 BCE. An entire history of Garuda, let's say there are 10 points. 1 or 2 incidents of it have been referenced in 5000 BCE. And the full narration is given in 3000 BCE. So the incident happened before, but later works like Ramayana and Mahabharata talk about it. All of it. So the chronology is this. Now, we'll take up another question. Next question is the last question. Anybody else? You have a question? Yeah, incredible.
When you were talking about several languages, you were speaking about each of the spoken languages. And I'm sure you are very, very passionate about Sanskrit language. And you have directed a movie from Kalidasa, Sakuntalam. So Sanskrit not being one of the spoken languages, I would like to know what challenges you encounter in bringing out this movie. Thank you.
Mati, what's your name?
My name is Chandrashekarendra.
Sandhya ji. So Sandhya ji had a question. I'll repeat the question, give the answer and we'll close for the day. Her question was, in the laundry list of spoken languages, Sanskritam was not that deployed. Or probably it's not known, very well known as a spoken language. And incidentally, she also brought in one small aspect in my life where I have directed and produced a movie called Sakuntalam in Sanskritam. So if it's not a spoken language, if people are not speaking, what is the challenge in directing a non-spoken language movie? First I will deal with the language. Even in the past, Sanskritam was not widely spoken. It was spoken, but it was not widely spoken. There were certain communities which were extremely scholastic or proficient in Sanskritam as a spoken language. Even now, my Acharya and his family, one of my Acharyas who taught me, in their family they talk only in Sanskritam. But if you consider 1,400 million Indians in India, in 2011 census, we have only 25 lakh people who have said Sanskritam is their spoken language. So 25 lakhs out of 1,400 million, 1,400 million is 140 crores. Is barely 0.00025%. Negligible. So even today it's not a very widely spoken language. And in the past also it was not a widely spoken language. It was spoken by certain communities, certain families. But Sanskritam matured into two spoken languages called Prakrit and Pali. For example, I will give you an example of how Sanskritam operates. Jadakirana Shakaladhara Jatila Natapati Makuta Tata Natana Patu Vibuddha Saridati Adibakula Madhugalana Lalita Padana Raja Upamridita Nijavrijina Jahadu Palatanu Ruchira Parama Munivara Yuvati Nuta Vedanta Desika says this is Sanskritam. Look at the way it operates. Now I tell you how Prakritam goes. Amma Gurunava Chiriya Siya Sandamiladavayutto Padivaya Paramatto Varesya Pandita Attanam Ammanam. This is Prakritam. Attirikko Akadayam Nattu Yetasya Jantuno Sattam Manasa Sundarattanam Sampajjayi. This is Pali. So Buddhism said Sanskritam is very tough, we will adopt Pali. Jainism said Sanskritam is very tough, we will adopt Prakritam. Hinduism said we will operate on all the three languages. So scholastic people only spoke Sanskritam, commoners spoke Prakritam and Pali. And of course the other languages like Tamil, Telugu, Kannada, Hindi, Malayalam and so on. So to say that Sanskritam was never a spoken language is wrong. It was, but not widely spoken. But Sanskritam inspired all languages. For example, let's say my understanding of Sanskritam is minimum, I know. I can speak Telugu and Kannada just like this. ಈ ಸಭಾ ಮಂಟಪದಲ್ಲಿ ಉಪಸ್ಥಿತವಾಗಿರೋ ಭಾಗವತಾಗ್ರೇಸರಗಳಿಗೆ ನನ್ನ ನಮಸ್ಕಾರಗಳು. In the sentence of 11 words, 7 words are Sanskritam. E is Kannada. Sabha, Sanskritam. Mantapa, Sanskritam. Alli, Tamil, Kannada. Upasthitavagiro, Upasthita, Sanskritam. Agiro is Kannada. Bhagavataagresargalige, that Glige is Kannada. Before that it is Sanskritam. See how easy it is to navigate Kannada with Sanskritam. Now I will convert this into Telugu. ఈ సభా మంటపమైన ఉపస్థితమైన భాగవతాగ్రేసరందరికీ మన నమస్కార or వందనములు or something like that. See, it's so easy to navigate. For example, Tyagaraja says Balakanakamayase chela sujana paripala Shri Rama lola vidhuta sharajala shubhada karunala vala ghananila nauyavana malikavarana. This is all Sanskritam. Sir, Tyagaraja Swami Telugu kada? Yela nidaya radu. Just 2 words, Yela daya radu. That's all. Everything is Sanskrit. So, classical Telugu, classical Kannada, classical Malayalam is Sanskritam. It is Sanskritized Malayalam, Sanskritized Telugu. Same is the case with Marathi, same is the case with Gujarati, same is the case with Hindi. So much of Hindi, Sanskritam influence, but there will be some local influence. There will be a Bhojpuri, Awadhi, Maithili influence in Hindi. So Sanskritam may not be a widely spoken language, but it has inspired all languages. Let's take our names. Most of our names will be Sanskritam based. Even in Tamil Nadu, people who say we support Tamil, their names will all be Sanskritam. Karuna Nidhi, Udaya Nidhi, Daya Nidhi, Kala Nidhi. All pure Sanskritam, 24 karat Sanskritam. Ramachandran, Jayalalitha. See, look at the names. Tell me, very rarely you will come across a Tamil name. Nappinai, Idaigadi. All these names are Tamil names. Kalai Selvi. These are all Tamil names. Agree. Kannadadalli heluvaga Guttappa. Adu Kannada hesaru. But if you look at the general names, they are all Sanskritam. Non-Sanskrit names are very rare. So Sanskritam was a lesser spoken language, agree. It was spoken by certain people. But the names inspired, all our names are Sanskritam based, most. City names, Sri Rangam, Sri Rangapattinam. See, for example, in Andhra, in Telangana, there is a place, Orugallu. Adi సంస్కృత భాషలో ఉన్నప్పుడు అది ఏకశిలా నగరం. తెలుగు వారు ఉన్నారు కదా ఇక్కడ. ఏకశిల, ఏక అంటే ఓరు, శిల అంటే గల్లు. ఓరు గల్లు, వారాంగల్లు అని అయిపోయింది. ఏకశిల ఇస్ వారాంగల్లు, ఒరుగల్లు వారాంగల్లు. Odu in Tamil means skull. Eram means wet. When Shiva cut Brahma's head, that wet skull was attached. Era Odu, Erodu. Have you heard of Erod? So how that name comes, you have to decipher. So Sanskritam becomes a base. And it was a base for other recitation. All Ramayanam, Mahabharatam, Bhagavatam, Puranas, Itihasas, Nyayas, all are Sanskritam. So Sanskritam is that. Now the last part, she said, why have you directed it? No, if it is in Sanskritam only, will people understand? Correct. But I will tell you, though Sanskritam is not a spoken language for us, you can understand why people watch Squid Game. It is a Korean series. 2 seasons have come. One person called Dandayudabani near Vedic watches Squid Game. Why can't he understand Sanskritam movie? We watch Ottoman Empire series of Turkish series we watch. We can understand Turkish, but we can't understand Sanskrit. I can't fathom this understanding. It is very easy. Bhavataha nama kim. Nama, what does it mean? Kim. Don't tell me North Korea. Kim, what? Bhavata, what is your name? Simple. Mama nama Dushyanta. Mama. See, we all go by body language as well, right? Mama nama Dushyanta. My name is Dushyanta. So easy. It is not some ununderstandable. You can never comprehend, sir. That is from Mars or Jupiter. This is not, my language is not from Mars or Jupiter. So people can understand. So to Sandhyaji's question, I directed purposefully in Sanskritam so that people know that this language is not that tough. Of course, some of them told me, sir, why can't you dub it in Tamil? Then the purpose is lost. Correct. Then why I can take it in Tamil itself? Shakuntalai, Indu Vandullai Allava. Yappadi irukundai Shakuntalai. I can do that. But why should I retain that Sanskritam dialogues? Because, see, the beauty is, Sakuntalam is a work by which poet? In which language? Kalidasa wrote Dushyanta and Shakuntala story in Sanskritam. It has been directed in Tamil once. M.S. Subbulakshmi acted. In Telugu twice. Samantha acted and Saroja Devi acted. 2 Shakuntalams. It has been directed in Kannada where Jayaprada has acted. It has been directed in Malayalam, K.R. Vijaya has acted. It has been directed in Hindi twice as Shakuntala and Stree in 1943 and 1957. So in Hindi twice, Kannada once, Telugu twice, Tamil once, Malayalam once. But it is not directed in Sanskritam. It is like directing Silappadigaram of Tamil in Kannada, in Telugu, in Hindi, in English, in Greek, and not in Tamil. See, the original Shakuntalam is in Sanskritam. So, my humble thought was whether people watch it or not, they should take efforts. If you feel that I can't understand Tamil, so be it. Vijay Bhava. But you have to. We have to. Why Hebrew was revived? Why can't Sanskritam not be revived? So that was the whole thought of doing this. Thank you so much for staying patient for the 2 questions. Kavitarthika Simhaya Kalyana Gurashalini Srimate Venkateshaya Vedanta Gurave Namaha Swasti Prajabhyah Paripalayantam Nyayena Margena Mahim Mahishaha Gobrahmanebhyah Shubhamastu Nityam Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu Kayena Vacha Manasendriyirva Buddhyatmana Va Prakriti Svabhava Karomi Yatyat Sakalam Parasmai Srimad Narayana Samarpayami. So tomorrow, same menu, same time, Ramayana Upanyasam, free to all, open to all. You can surely bring people. If you have children, I absolutely respect parents who want their children to learn. I am very honored to have children. But if they are too small, please do understand, even they can't sit. See, 2 small children, they won't have the patience. It is too much for us to expect from them also. So I will keep coming, don't worry. So they will also grow. That time also I will come, don't worry. For now, be patient children here. Let this not become Kishkindha Kanda, let it become Sundar Kanda.
Thank you, Sri Ji. That was a very interesting, informative, and very brilliant discourse connecting Mahabharata, Ramayana, and other Itihasas. Through such a brilliant, captivating, vibrant, and fun-filled speech, we learned so much of new connections and continuity between them. Thank you very much for that. Hope the audience also enjoyed the speech as much as I did. I would like to now invite Sri Sandeep Goyal, Committee Member of the Hindu Council of Australia, to honor Sri Dushyant. Thank you very much. Now we would like to invite Sri Rangnath Bhashyakar, the Treasurer of VTCS, to give vote of thanks to Sri Dushyant Sridhar. Please note, we are selling some food items at the doorstep, downstairs as well as upstairs, for fundraising purposes. Please buy food from the counter and support us for this event. Thank you very much.
I have a plea to all the Astikas. Generally, music concerts, dance recitals are ticketed. Astikas here who have organized this have made this free for all. So it's my personal request that each of you support their cause through your generous donations, because all this will help in making them bring more dharmic activities to this beautiful city of Perth. Your support will come in a long way, because you know, most ideologies, most other religions have a percentage of their income that goes for charity. In Sanatana Dharma, there is no such number mentioned. That doesn't mean there is nothing required. It doesn't mean that you should not. So please open your purses and help their dharmic causes. They are doing a lot of other causes. Please support them. I will give the mic to the Treasurer Swami to do the vote of thanks. Thank you.
Wow, that was excellent interpretation and mind-blowing insight provided by Sri Dushyant Sridhar. Good evening, everyone. On behalf of VTCSWA, I'm very privileged to be standing here at the Indian Community Center to express my vote of thanks. An incredibly special thanks to our eminent speaker of this evening, Ubaya Vedanta Acharya Sri Dushyant Sridhar, for his highly informative spiritual discourse on Puranas and Itihasas, the connection, continuity and contemporary relevance. It was a remarkably interesting evening, and thank you, sir, for the wonderful insight. I'm sure everyone here in the audience has enjoyed the discourse and had a memorable evening as well. I'm sure everyone will have something to take away from this discourse and talk about it for years. Audience, you're really amazing. Sparing some of your valuable time, many of you would have come directly from work on a weekday to attend this discourse and show support to Sri Dushyant Sridhar and to VTCS. Hats off to you guys. Without your support and presence, we could not have done this. A big thank you to you once again. Finally, a big thank you to the VTCS committee, right from President, Vice President, Secretary and committee members for the tireless work in addressing every minute detail, thereby ensuring that this evening's event was a grand success. Fabulous teamwork, guys. We hope to see you again tomorrow in more numbers. Until then, take care, drive safely, good night and God bless. Thank you. found a gold chain maybe. Whoever lost, come and collect it from me.
Form a queue for quick photos.
People who want to take photo with Dushyant Sridhar can queue up, then we can take the photos with him.
What a queue format.